take this seriously, you do your research, it's going to help you make an informed decision. That's the reason why I created this project, to help you make the best decision possible. So that's why I said this is probably the most important unit that you're going to do this year, because of the impact that the choice you're going to make is going to have on your life. So obviously, one of the things that you want to start doing, if you've already started looking at particular schools, start gathering that information to bring it in. Because today, we're going to look at the characteristics of a good school. Next class, we're going to start learning about the history of the internet. Then we're going to start creating our first web page. And as we're creating that web page, our first web page, we're then afterwards going to create our website on our 3 high schools. Remember that I said that it could be on public, private, boarding schools. It doesn't even have to be a school within New York.
Can I do number 2?
Yes. Now, do we agree with the ones that we're hearing?
Then having to go to college, spending more money on textbooks.
So if you want to save money, the way you can do that is preparing yourself now. Okay? And the do now. And just to give me one from their list. Let's have Alexander.
Can I just name one? Or
Give me one from your list.
okay. College prep.
College prep, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, someone else to give me from their list. Let's hear from Richard.
You should focus on what you want to do in life.
Focus on your interest. Okay. Let's get from Mireli.
I'm going to take it more personal to do now. I'm applying to private schools, and so I would love a school that shows supports for children who are from a low social background, socioeconomic background.
Okay.
A good school should have they offer any scholarships.
Okay. Okay, 2 more people. Let's have Tara.
So for me, I'm applying for a lot of early college high schools, which is basically when I graduate high school, I'm going to get a high school diploma and a college associate's degree as well. So early college.
Early college, okay. Okay, and let's get one more person's opinion. Christian, what do you feel a good school should have?
I feel like what a good school can have, like different clubs, not like.
Okay.
Extracurricular.
Hold on, we'll explain. Okay, different clubs. Okay. Okay, so what we're going to do, ladies and gentlemen, over today, we just finished writing up our do now. What we're going to do is we're going to then discuss what we feel are the characteristics. We're going to explain, everyone is going to explain the ones that they put. At the end, those people who were not picked, you're going to mention one thing that you learned from today.
One of the characteristics is support for all, and I based it on the fact that private schools are now working on creating a diverse community for all students, where all different students from different races, countries, and social backgrounds come together and learn about each other and learn to interact with the different differences that they have, or stereotypes that they're put on each other. And so one school, like which is Packer, Packer holds an assembly every month where they unite the whole school goes in, and there's one mic in the auditorium, and everyone can just freely go up to the stage and express themselves on current events. It's a school where both girls and boys can go.
Okay.
Can attend.
Co-ed means both, a mixture, right? And some people, because you know, and from one of the other lists, I don't have it there, but somebody said they would prefer like, you know, just unisex, you know, not a co-ed because they want to be like focused. Alexander?
International travel.
Yeah, I think somebody mentioned that one. Yeah. Tara, you see something?
Yes, but it's like the same on our list. This is many extracurricular activities, which is basically sports and clubs. So.
Okay.
No, I think for all it's good.
Okay.
Just because it's not just for students from socioeconomic backgrounds and from different races. Everyone should feel supported. Well, we're starting the project where we're creating our own websites based on the high schools that we want to go to, and just the meaning of it is just supposed to like get us to learn about the high schools before we apply to them, or you know, inspire other kids to go to the high school, and also just get an idea of what kind of high school you want to go to, or what are the factors that you find in a perfect high school, and also to see start thinking about what do I like in a high, what do I like about school, or what are the subjects that I'm very interested in, and hopefully from that you get an idea of what would you like to major in college, or what career would you like to further discover about. Well, we're just it's the beginning. I mean, we haven't done very much learning yet, but on my own, I do. I look through books about the school, and I go through their websites and see what projects or what clubs they offer, how far it is from home, and also if they have college prep classes or things like that I'm very interested in, and just get an idea of whether I like to do my project based on boarding schools, private schools, or just public schools. So I think that's very good. Yeah.
And so they have to weigh that, look at what they determine, what are the characteristics of a good school, what are their strengths, what are their weaknesses, what are the areas that they need to improve upon and their interest, and see if there's a match. And then they're going to create a website. Not only does it benefit them, but it also benefits other students, because maybe a student doesn't know about a particular school, but when they see their website, they see the information, they see the pros and the cons of the school, then they can say, oh, I can make an informed decision and say, well, this might be a good high school for me. I gave them I use it as a project because first off, some of the students would not be interested in coding if I just simply taught them coding in isolation. Working through project-based learning, there is a focus, there is a goal. So their goal is actually to create a website on 3 high schools. So they're learning about coding through a project. The HTML is a tool to help them because the choice that they're going to make is going to affect their next 4 years of life.
Okay, so this is a project I made with two other students, which was Emmeline and Giselle. And we named our project Mr. Watchy Watch because it was supposed to be like a watch, and we thought of like a name that could be catchy and like was kind of like funny or a joke, so we named it Mr. Watchy Watch. The project was about helping people who are blind be able to like cross the street. So it was like I don't know, it's like an alarm clock, I guess, that it wears you when cars were near, or when the light was red or green. And so it was like it used a bunch of motion sensors to aware people around them. Alright, so this was just the background research I did behind sound and robot sensors that were parts that we needed to make the Mr. Watchy Watch. Well, we guessed. I mean, it was we researched different parts of like that the Apple Watch had, and we thought that two different parts that we needed to add to this watch were robot sensors and sound sensors. Just like, so the sound sensors were for it to be able to like recognize different sounds, and then the robot sensors was to be able to recognize different motions that's going around them. Okay, so this is just like how we thought about it first. At first we thought it would be a bracelet with various like detectors, and then we thought it would be like a pole that out around the street, like our lamp poles, that would tell you if they were able to cross. And then our third final idea was to make it a watch, which was in without the light detectors, I think it was. And then blah, blah.
So I mean, being able to not just, again, like sit in class and learn about these things, but go out and actually experience them, I think was going to benefit her not just in really being able to like understand deeply the things that she's learning about, but then also like acquire those other skills that will allow her in the future to be successful in a work environment.
That's a very good question. For the projects, most of the time I have a rubric. And so that's the criteria. What is an exemplary project? What criteria must it have? What is the minimum requirements? So based on the rubric, students are graded. And I present it to the students beforehand so that the students know what are the expectations. I also show them, I keep exemplary projects and also projects that are not exemplary, because I have students evaluate, I have them look at the project and the rubric and say, well, what grade would you give this project? Based on the rubric, I give it to them in their hands. So they will determine themselves what is the grade, and they have to explain why using the rubric. So they go through that exercise first before they actually finish and present theirs. They've already seen what a good project looks like, what a not so good project looks like, and why a project is good and why a project is not so good. You have to refresh and renew yourself as a teacher if you want to be a good teacher. It stimulates students and it stimulates you as a teacher. You know, because you're asking yourself also, how can I make this interesting? If I was a student, how would this be interesting? And so that helps you with your focus when you're creating that final goal, that objective, or that project. I am 24 years teaching, and sometimes when I try new things, I'm a little scared. But you always look at yourself and you look at your students. What benefit is this going to provide my students? As a teacher, the greatest joy that we have is when we see our students become successful later on. And that is what, through project-based learning, we're helping them, give them the tools so that they can become successful in life.
I think the challenge is always making sure that the students are engaged at a high cognitive level. Because there are times if the project is not really well thought out and tied to our curriculum and tied to standards, then what happens, we can see high levels of participation and the students can be engaging and doing something. But if it's not something that's really elevating their learning and it's not tied to real learning outcomes, then what happens is all we have is the culmination of a nice project. And so that's why, you know, it's progressive. There's a lot of formative assessment throughout, and it culminates into that one big project that has everything to do with applying what I learned. Because their first beginning, they have to set the structure. So one of the things that we do, for example, is ask teachers to begin to do turn and talk, where the students can share a concept and then share it out. But really begin to do it in small ways and then get into something a lot bigger. I think one of the clear ways is to begin to look at a unit that you're working on and really begin to see how can this unit really show us through an application that they have really mastered what they've learned. So when we're looking at math, we can think of projects that are tied to mathematicians. What kind of projects do mathematicians work on? If we think of science, how do we make science a real research kind of class where it has everything to do with project whatsoever? Try to find projects that are authentic and really show what the person, if you're doing literacy, what does a literacy person do in the real world? So once we find projects that are meaningful and have a real connection, I think that really excites the teacher and excites the students as well. And it'll be a natural way to bring in mentors. It'll be a natural way to go out into the real field and see what it looks like. And it'll also be a way of really helping us, really giving like I said, the students the skills that they need. But as with anything, you don't jump into it quickly. You spend time researching, you spend time studying, you do intervisitations, you do book studies, and then you start small, and starting small is begin to create the structures in the class.
Some of them left